Yes, it's okay.
Awesome. All right. Any questions before we get started on like me or the format or anything like that? Okay. So what I'll do first is, because it's a small enough group, actually, I think I could probably just go around the room and just hear, you know, who you are, where you're from, and then we'll go to the next person. All right. I just want to get a familiarity with you guys. Okay. So let's start from the top right here. Is it Bahani?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi guys, I'm from India and I'm an aspiring product manager. I have been working as a software developer for almost 2.5 years now, and I just resigned from my job and mainly planning to go to US to get my master's. But now I don't know how the situation is going to turn out with the COVID situation, and also I don't know, I'm just prepared to look for jobs again. And even after I do my master's, I'm really interested into venture into this product management domain. Mainly as a TPM or some kind of product analyst, maybe.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Let's go to Othmain.
Yes, I don't know if you see my video up. Just 1 second, sorry. Can you see me?
There we go. We can see you there.
Thank you for the invitation first. So my name is Othman, as you said. I come from France. I was previously living in the UK for 2 years in London, as our colleagues within this group. And I'm living here in Germany since 5 years. I have 5 years of experience in technology product management, not on digital. I was managing until last week light switches and socket outlet and multimedia outlets that you can find in the UK, but also in 18 countries in the world. So I had the chance to be, I would say, exposed on end-to-end product development and go-to-market strategy. So if you have some question related to this product or anything, if you would like to know about me, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Right on. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I've been to Disney. So because I have my Disney pass, I used to go to all the parks. I've been to all the parks around the world, and we went to the one in Disney Paris, and yeah, it's crazy because like when you go to the park, and they have to say the announcements in all the different languages, right? Because the Disney park over there has everyone who goes all the time, and yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go to, and if you're not talking, just put yourself on mute, and then that will keep us all on check. Awesome. Next, we have Bernardo. Can you hear us, Bernardo?
Yep, I was just unmuting myself. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. And thank you, Rich, for setting this up. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love the initiative and willing to mentor. So I am originally from Mexico, but I've lived in the United States almost all my life. And I currently live in Seattle. I've been here like a year, and I'm looking to stay. So about 3 months ago, and for the last couple of years, I was at 3M as a manufacturing engineer. I mean, I studied mechanical engineering in college. But after a little while, I started to think about what I wanted to do. And eventually, after talking to a lot of people, landed on product management. So I quit my job and thought, Seattle's a great place, great market. And then coronavirus hit. So in a way, this is somewhat of a blessing in that I'm having time to really figure out what that means.
Yep.
And talking to people like you and this group, but very excited about that transition, and also looking for that, like you mentioned, how to get that first PM role.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Next, let's go to Han. Hi, Han.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Rich, for organizing this fantastic event. So my name is Han, and I'm a current student at Harvard, major in technology, innovation, and education. And I'm graduating now, and I'm currently looking for product management roles in technology firms. Before that, I've done some product management internship in China, where I come from, in Microsoft, and also in DD, which is basically you can consider that as Uber in China.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think right now I'm just looking forward to pivoting into a full-time PM role. Yeah, so that's something about me, and looking forward to learning with everyone together. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for joining. I've actually been to China as well. Sorry, I just wanted to throw that in there because one of the parks is in China. Actually, two of the parks from Disney, one in Hong Kong and one in Shanghai. So I've had a chance to visit both.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Nice to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, they actually just opened the Shanghai park, and
I
all
haven't been there.
haven't been there yet. Yeah, it's definitely quite a trip.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Next, we have Hugo. Hey, Hugo.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm from China too.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you for this opportunity to join this group. I'm very interested in product management, and also I was a product manager for more than 5 years in Huawei, which is a telecom manufacturer in China. And now I'm a student at MIT doing my MBA degree. So I'm looking for full-time opportunities as a product manager, and also look like any opportunity to improve my skills as a product manager. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Hugo. I appreciate that. All right. Next, we have Lynn. Hey, Lynn.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Cool. Hi everyone. And thanks for organizing this. So I'm sorry I missed the last one, but just
Okay.
a little bit about me. So I'm a quality engineer. So I've been in tech for probably about 9 years now. Yeah, so I just moved to London about 6 years ago, just to kind of like get a different experience from New Zealand actually. So yeah, so majority of the time, I guess kind of been working in tech, but the interest is either going shift left towards product management, or I guess shift right to become a developer. And I think my interest lies a bit more in understanding why products are made and how we want to build product, like shifting from when the decisions are made. But yeah, so trying to find a way of how I can transition into the product management role, because I'm kind of already working in a team with all the different parts of a Scrum team.
Perfect.
So,
Got
yes.
it. A little bit of that experience already. Awesome. Okay. Next, we have, is it Mansell? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, that's Mansell, yeah.
Hey, man.
Hey, hey, anyway, thanks for like organizing this, and it's great to see you all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like I'm from India, but I live in Dubai, and until recently I used to work as a product manager in a fintech firm, primarily dealing with remittances in the remittance industry. And yeah, and my background is as a mechanical engineer. I have background doing projects in IoT before coming to the fintech stream.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what.
Nice. Yeah. One of my, well, it's because I studied computer engineering, and one of the things that they always, at our school at least, they had us do at least some classes in all the different, types of engineering, and mechanical engineering was one of the, I remember we had to do some structural stuff and all these other things, right? So it was, I mean, I was better at computers. That's why I stuck with
Yeah.
it. So I stuck with that. Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Next, we have Feline.
Hi, guys. Thanks, Rich, for setting this up. Really appreciate it. So I'm Feline. I'm from London. I've been a product manager for about 5.5 years. I actually started my professional life as a geologist, and then we got acquired by a software company. And so the whole team that I was in became product owners. And then I switched to a tech startup, which kind of built products within the drug discovery space, cancer research. And then I moved to another startup in London, which now does like a taxi marketplace. So that's it.
Perfect. Geologist, huh? That's something.
Very different.
Yeah, we'll have to get into that later. That's interesting. Because I know there's a lot of people who have different backgrounds, and especially in product management. And that's what I love. One of the things I love about product management is that, like, yes, you know, oh, it's tech, or sometimes if you're going to go into the tech world, but there are people who are coming from everywhere, right? I know someone who's, you know, he did study physics, another one who was he went and worked at NASA, like all these different people, right? But ultimately, if you enjoy, the way I see product management is it's a love of identifying people's problems, making them your problems, so that way you can have developers and other teams also work towards solving those problems, right? That's how I truly see it. And so if you are the type of person that just, you know, is empathetic and loves to be able to solve things like that, connect with people, then it's a fit, right? Cool. Thank you. And who else we have? We have Ray. Hey, Ray.
Hello, thanks for organizing this. I'm from Vietnam, and I have just joined the product management recently, working for a consumer tech startup. Before that, I have an experience in business and investment, so kind of interesting to make a transition. So I want to learn more and grow as a product manager.
Perfect. Thank you. From Vietnam. That's awesome. I don't think I've had anyone from Vietnam, so you are the first from that country. Thank you for joining. All right. Let's go to, is it Shushanik?
Hey, hello everyone.
Hi.
Thank you for organizing this session. My name is Shushanik and I'm from Armenia, Yerevan. Concerning my educational background, I have both bachelor and master's degree in economics, and currently I'm working in business consulting sector as an associate consultant, having more than 7 years of experience, and I'm trying to shift into IT sector, especially as an product manager.
Perfect. Yeah, I think you are also the first from Armenia. I don't think I've had anyone from Armenia. I'm trying to keep notes here as you guys are saying. This is so cool. Awesome.
Okay.
All right, and I think we have one more. Is it Suba?
Correct. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So I live in San Francisco. I've been in the IT industry for more than 12 years. So having worked with startups and also big organizations. So working with startups gave me a lot of opportunity to wear like different hats and get exposed to different areas, including product management role. I mean, not directly, but indirectly. And right now I work for a big org, and I'm looking to transition into product management, but I always hit a roadblock, whether be it internal recruiters. I haven't reached out to external recruiters yet, but they don't really, motivate people who don't have prior PM experience to apply for PM roles, even within the org. So I just wanted to, hear from you to see how we can navigate that roadblock. And the recruiters are primarily your door to the opportunity, right? So if they turn you down, there's no way for you to go further. So I just wanted to hear from you to see what you have to see, because I heard you say you have hit the roadblock yourself and you overcome with it. Wanted to see what you can offer and just listen in and take notes.
Yeah, of course. Perfect. All right. I think that's everyone. I'm really excited because we have a group of people here that are from different, levels, right? Some, from what I heard, are already product managers, maybe just trying to improve themselves. Some that are just trying to get in, right? So what I'm going to share are just some of the key tactics that I believe, depending wherever you are, right? Because I think it's always important to keep learning, and just something that groups all of the types of questions together. I'm going to share something, and at the end we'll have some more Q&A session. Okay. So let me share my screen. Okay. So, you know, anytime you're going on this journey of a big move, I always believe that there's some sort of self-discovery that needs to happen, right? And hear me out for a sec, right? Because I don't want to go straight into, you know, resume and you know, how to connect with people. I think there is some level of actual discovery that we have to do, right? So for myself, when I was trying to get into product management for the very first time, right? It was super, super hard because I was all over the place, right? You know, my mindsets, who I wanted to be, where I wanted to work, I was just applying everywhere, right? I didn't care who it was. I just wanted to get in. But one of my mentors told me that, you know, you should take some time to figure out what you actually love and focus your energy on those areas that you love, right? So, you know, one of the things that I ended up doing was creating this little story inventory, right? Because like, how do you start to discover yourself? From my experience, you know, especially when communicating with people, you start to connect with people because of your stories, right? There are so many people that when you share a story, there's some sort of connection that can happen, that can spark. That having this story inventory of just things from your past that you can just have, you know, written down already as ahead of time for preparation will give you that ability to refer to something very quickly, right? Because sometimes, like, if you, I'm not sure if this has ever happened to you, but let's say you're in a conversation and, you know, you're talking to someone, they had a really good story, and then maybe 5 minutes later, you maybe think, oh, I could have talked about something, right? But you didn't have it right there on top of your, you know, top of your head. Having this story inventory is one of those, for me, has been so, you know, instrumental in being able to make connections with anyone, right? Because I know myself, I know my past, I've embraced my past, right? So this is like a template that I've shared. This is something that I can share with you guys, which goes just through the years, right? Take some time to just reflect, like what about you or me, right, is unique? Because everyone wants to, you know, they don't want people that are the same. They want people that are different and can bring something different to themselves, right? So you can kind of see here, I just broke this up by, you know, the different school years. This can be a collection of things from your, you know, your epiphanies, your failures, your successes. It doesn't have to be even related to your career, right? This is just something that for you makes you unique and interesting and someone interesting to talk about, right? Or talk to. So a key element to, I believe, in self-discovery is just understanding yourself, embracing your past, and taking the time to reflect and write it down, okay? The second thing is, let me go back here, is also assessing yourself right now, right? And where you are in terms of, you know, who you are as a person. Are you, you know, are you like your different personality? What are you good at? What are you not good at? Like taking inventory of yourself, your skills and everything like that, because that will also help you in understanding where you could help fit in an organization, right? I know that when we hire at Disney and also at InStride, where I'm at right now, we all have done personal assessments as a team. So we know what our assessments are. And we're doing sometimes as a team, we're saying, who do we need, right? Like what type of person do we need that can kind of round us out? And so if you can understand that about yourself, also being able to understand your strengths, your weaknesses, you know, a key thing, obviously in any type of conversation, is knowing who you are, assessing yourself. So I have this one document, which I didn't have it ready here, but I will find it, which is ultimately, you know, some of my favorite assessments. And these assessments are not only, again, in your career, your personality, but they're also in other areas, right? I wholeheartedly believe that, you know, when you know yourself, you become more confident. And sometimes I feel like when people going into interviews, right, they have the skills, but they're not confident in how they present themselves. They're not confident in how they, they share what they can do. And that's because they don't know themselves well enough, right? And so, these are some of my favorite assessments that I recommend you try, just knowing, what type of fear archetype do you have, right? What gets you in a flow state? What are your values, right? What are your weak areas and just in life in general? And I'm not saying you're going to bring these things into the conversation in an interview, but what I'm saying is that these assessments are just a way for you to figure yourself out at this point in time, get to know who you are, and build up that confidence of who you are, right? Or maybe even figure out where you need to work on, right, a bit better. So a few of the ones that I love and I highly recommend, right, that you just take an inventory of yourself where you are today. Another area that I believe is important as part of your self-discovery is related to just where you want to go, right? Sometimes a lot of us, we just kind of get started and we just like start applying, start interviewing, and we don't really, it doesn't really have a greater purpose for us. Sometimes we just, we're just kind of, making decisions based off of what other people have told us, right? What I've done, and I think a lot of, I've studied a lot of mentors of mine. I've also studied a lot of successful executives and entrepreneurs. What they all have in common is that they always have this vision of their lives, right? Where do they want to be in the next, 3, 5, even 10 years? And it's crazy to say this. I know I'm saying it, it sounds really, really bizarre. Like, I don't know where I'm going to be in 10 years, but imagine that you could actually determine where you would be in the next 10 years. What would that look like, right? I don't know if anyone, I mean, I certainly didn't have this 10-year vision for myself, but if I had this white canvas, I said, let me actually write what that canvas or that story would be for myself, right? And so for me, this is another document that I've put together that is in a way a look into where I want to be in different areas, not just my career, right? That's one of the things that I'm going to be sharing you as kind of like a mentor right now, is that yes, I'm here to help with product management. That's what I love. I know it really well. But I think that another part of, being a great product manager is also being a great person, right? How can you be a great product manager if you can't help I always say, like, you can't help other people unless you help yourself first, right? So being able to figure yourself out, understand where you want to go, and that will actually help you make the decisions of, what companies you want to choose, what companies you want to work for, or maybe even what companies you want to start, right? Because they so align with your values. So for me, you can see here, I've established kind of this life vision for myself, which is, I want to be a serial entrepreneur, right? Not just an entrepreneur. I want to be, generating, businesses and opportunities for people who want, a better life. And I also want to be impacting people through social means, right? I want to be an investor, a thought leader, right? And I kid you not, that the more you put stuff down on paper and the more that you start to look at it and review it, things start to happen, right? Last year, I put together, essentially what I wanted to achieve in 2019, right? I said I wanted to start a company. I wanted to meet some influential people. I wanted to be a thought leader. All of these things I started to put down. I had no idea how I was going to do it, right? But I put it down. And I kid you not, things start to move in that direction because you're thinking about it, right? You're putting that energy towards it. And, last year I did launch a company, small company, but I launched a company which is profitable. It's called Fetch the Moments. It's for, dog loving travelers who want to enjoy their moments with their pets, right? I met Jay Shetty, who is a very well-known, individual in the personal development world, right? I got the chance to meet him by actually using some of my little techniques that I'll share with you again in a little bit later. And I've been able to establish myself as a thought leader in product, right? I mean, I'm working with product school, doing webinars now, and also, writing and meeting with you guys, like people like you, right? I want to establish myself as that. And so that all of that didn't happen until I actually put things down on paper, right? So this is a nice template. I refer to this as my 8 F's of life goals that you want to try to achieve for yourself. And these are, again, in areas like your family, your finance, fitness, and things like that, right? So highly recommend if you're just kind of figuring yourself out. And then at the same time, this self-discovery phase is really a time where you figure out like who should you find as your inner circle of people that you want to surround yourself with, right? I think there's a saying that you are the average of the five closest people around you, right? Who are you surrounding yourself with, right? I believe that there's definitely a need to have, friends that are in different categories. I call them, you should have friends that are seekers, right? People who are looking to get to this kind of the level where you are. You should have achievers. Achievers are people like are at your level or even maybe a little bit better, so you can kind of continually keep pushing yourself. And then you should have masters, right? These are the people that have achieved this level of success that you desire, and having them in your circle will help you to match whatever frequency they are in, so that way you meet that frequency, right? Kind of get you at that same level. And so this self-discovery is so important. And now, especially with this, time that we're in, it's a good time to really just, press pause for a sec, right? Take an inventory, figure this stuff out, develop these new habits. So that way, when you go and you're starting to do these conversations with people, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more clear, right? You kind of remove all that fog that you may have had before. Okay, so that's the first kind of big area is self-discovery. The second area is kind of getting in the door. And so this is really once you figure yourself out, how do you actually get in the door? And I think a lot of you have shared this, right? Like, this is probably the one thing that a lot of you, really are interested in. So I have a couple things about getting in the door. And specifically, my belief is that getting in the door is really comes with establishing connections, right? And, I always preach and I always share to people that you should always try to go for the referral versus the application, right? Because when you get the referral, there's a higher chance that you will, be able to get that role, right? So when I was at, this is a true story. When I was trying to get into Disney, I actually, I had kept up my LinkedIn, completely up to date. And one of the recruiters from Disney had reached out to me on LinkedIn. And I actually, let's see if I can find the conversation, because I think I do have it. It's pretty interesting. I won't find it. It's going to take too long. But anyway, so the recruiter reached out to me, and she said that she wanted to, have a quick conversation, 15-minute conversation, right? I had done a lot of this stuff already, right? This is just part of what I do is my kind of my practice. I've done a self-discovery. I usually try to do it every year. And I came ready with my story. And that was the other thing I hear, right? Storytelling. I blew her away in those 15 minutes, right? I shared why I believed that I was, I wanted to work for Disney. I connected to my past. I connected to what I do. I shared examples of things that I've done as a product manager. And in those 15 minutes, right, we went from complete strangers to her now being my champion, to the point where she continually tried for me to get a job at Disney. So, it took 2 attempts to actually get a job at Disney. But she was the one who was championing that, because I established that connection with her, right? So she was more of that kind of referral person for me. And so the point I'm trying to make is, storytelling and the ability to communicate, the ability to share your values and how they relate to the company that you're trying to work for is so powerful. So incredibly powerful, right? Because people want to know, you have to imagine yourself, right? If you take some time to think, and you're the hiring manager and you kind of are looking for people, they want to hire people that they know are going to make the company better, right? And that they're so, in love with the mission, that they so believe in it, that it's just a natural fit, right? So being able to connect with your story is truly amazing, and it's good thing to do. I refer to these little storytelling, techniques and also just videos to to learn from other people, essentially, right? I personally love learning on YouTube video, actually any type of format, but really video and audio is kind of my preferred format. And anytime I find a video or something, I try to create lists, right? I take a list of things. So this one particular list is one of just really good stories. I'm going to keep adding to this, but ultimately, how do you become a great storyteller, a great communicator? It's, in my opinion, learning from the best and then practicing yourself, right? Connecting with people and sharing your story, right? You just took a story inventory, share your story with other people, right? That's how you get better at communicating and storytelling. Another thing that I always recommend people to do, and this just comes with, a change in mindset, really, and that's just rewiring the way you think. So I know, I'm not sure if, I know for myself, this is definitely the case. Maybe some of you it is as well. Sometimes we go into an interview, or sometimes we feel like we're not, we have this imposter syndrome, and we feel that, we don't deserve this role, or there's some sort of limiting belief that doesn't actually help us when we're interviewing or when we're connecting with people. And I think that comes from just lots of years of, people controlling essentially the way you think based off of your past, your experiences and things like that. But ultimately, if you can actually rewire the way that you think and develop a bit more confidence and also belief that you can achieve things, you'll walk into any room, any conversation with this sense of, pride and accomplishment that, you may not have had ever before. And so bringing that passion into the conversations, that enthusiasm, is another really great way to, get yourself in the door. The one thing that I highlight, and we'll get to resumes and interviews and stuff, but the one thing that I highlight on how you connect with people, right? Because I think everyone is trying right now, they're going to obviously look for roles, and they're going to try to find a connection who works there already, right? How do you get that person to actually listen to you? How do you establish some sort of friendship, right? One way that I've been sharing with my mentees is to create what I call a product audit, but it can be just ultimately a way to showcase your skills, right? At the end of the day, people just want to know, can you do the job, right? I mean, I've always been a big proponent. I mean, yeah, the resume, it shows you that you can, all these nice keywords. If you know how to, hack the system, you just put all the right keywords and you'll get in, right? You'll get through the system. But how do you actually land the job, right? How do you get in the door? And when I mean get in the door, I mean you've gotten the job and you're in the door and everything, right? So I always recommend to show people, right? Show people that you have done the work, you know how to do the job, and do it with potentially the product that you're getting hired for, right? Like, imagine this, right? Imagine, and with this product audit, this is what I always tell people, is that imagine that you are the product manager right now for that company, for that, or whatever, that product, right? What would you do? How would you make it better, right? What would you check? And that in a way becomes your portfolio of what you share, right? Imagine going to an interview or trying to connect with someone for the very first time. Let's use that example, where you're trying to connect with someone for the very first time. Maybe you see that you have a second degree connection with someone who works at a company, let's say Hulu. I'm just gonna throw that there. And you say to your friend, hey, friend, I really, you know, there's something that I really want to, you know, give to Hulu, and it's just, you know, something as a way to giving appreciation, you know, act of service. Like, I love Hulu so much. I want them to be better. You know, I created this little product audit, which has an assessment of things that are working, things that are not, maybe not, like issues, actual issues, and some of my recommendations on how to fix it, right? Based off of your product manager expertise. You know, bringing that to the table will instantly, you know, spark a connection, or also spark some curiosity, right? You know, you don't find too many people who go around saying like, hey, I've taken the time because I love your product so much to find, you know, what works and what doesn't work, and also recommend certain solutions, right? And it kind of shows a level of your expertise that maybe other people haven't, right? I always try to say is that you try to show people that you're ready for the job on day one, right? And the moment they hire you, you're already like, you know, 50% of the way there. You don't even need onboarding in a way, right? So just one of the tactics. I am working on a product audit 2.0, which will essentially include, you know, a bit more, right? Because whenever I, you know, as product managers, whenever you're trying to actually, you know, create a product, it always goes back to the problem, right? What are the problems that you're trying to solve for people? And another really cool tactic that you could do is maybe even try connecting with actual users of that product, right? And again, imagining yourself as a product manager and finding out what their pain points are, right? And actually bringing that into this, right? This is something that I know me as a hiring manager, I never see this, right? And so like I'm essentially sharing what if I were, you know, back looking for roles again, this is what I would be doing, because I know that this is going to stand out. This is completely different from what I've ever encountered with anyone, right? So yeah, product audit, and then being able to use that and setting up conversations, right? And then obviously, yes, interviews and resumes. I'm not going to go too crazy in depth with this, but it does, you know, your resume is going to be reviewed by people. So if you are, you know, for whatever reason, don't have a resume that is matching to the job description in terms of keywords, then do it. You know, this is a little tool that I've come across that I love to use, and I've used it actually. I helped someone get a job at Google because we were able to craft their resume with, you know, the actual job description in mind, where it just looks at your resume and looks at the job description, gives you a score comparison of how likely your resume would actually fit, or how likely your chances of getting that role based off of the keywords and things like that you would use, right? And, you know, this is one of the things that I know I share with a lot of people, is that like people ask me, what if I don't have Google Analytics experience? And that's what they, you know, that's what they need, right? Well, what I always tell people is then go learn Google Analytics, go find a project where you can use Google Analytics, and then go put it on the resume, right? At the end of the day, the resume is a talking point, right? And in a way, it's going to help, you know, just like someone will look at that resume for like 6 seconds and then make a judgment call of yes or no. Realistically, I mean, maybe not 6, maybe a little bit more than that, but you know, most of the times it is a very fast, just look at the, you know, do you fit all of the keywords that I need for my job, right? And if you do, then great. Then let's have a conversation, right? So I bring this in here again. It's, you know, once you've made it past having conversation with someone, you know, having a connection with someone, they're going to ultimately want to see your resume. So I would just always say, you know, yeah, try to, you know, match the resume to the job description in terms of keywords, right? Cool. And then the final thing is, you know, interviews and practice. And, you know, this is one of the things that I want to help. So I have a group of mentees right now where I'm actually, you know, helping them identify actual real world problems for the products that they want to work for or they want to work on, right? and also identifying, startups that are in need of product managers. And I'm putting my reputation on the line by saying, hey, I know people, I know, aspiring product managers, existing product managers who want this expert experience. I'm gonna, kind of train them a little bit, give them some experience and practice, some practice problems, or if you will, to the point where they then can create some sort of either, portfolio, or they feel confident enough where they can go in and interview with someone, right? Because like a lot of you guys mentioned, they're like, I don't have the experience, and all these people are asking, do you have experience? And that's, yes, it's true, right? When I was getting into product management, I didn't have experience as a product manager, but what I did have experience was with, working on projects, a lot of different projects that were specific to, building experiences, building, digital experiences that were, things that I took initiative on, right? But I know that, how do you get started, right? Where do you find those things? So that's where I wanted to jump in and help, especially in that area, is, providing opportunities, or actually finding, ways where you can have me as like a guide to give you some of those, opportunities, right? I mean, I use Trello a lot, right? So this is one of the things, just so you guys can see, I've been giving to my mentee group, where basically, I give them all a Trello board, and if they don't know all of the steps of product management, then we kind of learn. I teach them together. I walk them through it together. And then essentially we just start going, right? We go and we identify an actual business development problem, right? What are the problems out there that we can, actually tackle, and go through the process, right? Because product management is just a process from taking a problem, and finding a solution and launching it, getting it in front of people, and then reiterating again. And the more you do that, right, the better you become. I always say it's like a muscle, right? I mean, I'm into fitness. I love fitness, and I love to exercise, and that's really what it comes down to. Is the more you exercise, the more you go through the process, the better you become, right? So that's kind of one of the things I try to offer people as well. The next stage are jump starting, and I know we're almost. I'm gonna try to pause at 9, so that way we have the rest for questions. So jump starting. So this is like, okay, you finally got the job, and how do you like get started very quickly, or how do you just ensure that you have success? I believe that there's really 4 things that you really have to focus on, right? It's the people, the priorities, the product, and the process, right? Here's a sample of one of my previous 30, 60, 90-day plans. And it's something that I do at every single new opportunity, new thing, is setting, these 30, 60, 90-day plans. It gives you a sense of, accountability for what you are trying to achieve in the next 30, 60, 90 days. And so you can kind of see here, and everything that I'm sharing right now, I will be providing as links you guys can use. But you can see here, right, the first 30 days, I always obsess about the 4 Ps, learning the that's actually should be, this is incorrect, I will fix that. But learning the priorities, learning the people becomes, the team, the customers, who are the, the actual existing and future companies that you're trying to work with, right? Just people in general. Learn the product, which hopefully if you've done a product audit, you probably know the product a little bit better, but then it's like, maybe the data side that you haven't gotten. And then the priorities, right? The priorities being, I'm sorry, I had it right here. People, priorities, product, process. Yeah, how do people get things done at that place, right? The people who are able to, understand the process and move, I always say product manager is always the ones who, are trying to move mountains, right? They're trying to take, one thing to the next thing. And in order to do that, you have to know the process, right? How do you navigate that, right? And then another thing as well, as part of the jump starting phase, that I believe everyone should try to establish is doing this jobs to be done exercise. So if you're not familiar with jobs to be done, I recommend you guys to learn it. When I was at Disney, we used Thrive as our jobs to be done consulting company to kind of work with us. But jobs to be done in a way is a very focused way of identifying solutions to problems that will actually yield a successful product launch, right? You know, this right here, again, I'll send this link. They talk about how it is possible to beat Apple and Google, right, in a market, because people are essentially looking at the product or the problem differently, right? And jobs to be done, really what it comes down to, if you don't know about it, is it's looking at all of the steps that it takes for a person to do an actual job, right? And essentially that product, you're hiring that product to do that job better and faster, or faster and more accurate than the competitors in the market, right? And so if you know all of the steps that it takes to do, the current state of, let's say, listening to music, and you've been able to figure out a faster way to get into that mood, right, faster than these other competitors, then you know that you have a winning product, right? That's how Pandora was able to take a huge market share from Apple Music or from the iPod, because they were able to create this mood for people. They were able to provide this mood for people faster than potentially getting, downloading music, putting it on your phone, and then, or on your iPod or whatever. And the rest is history, right? So it's something I recommend you learn if you don't know about it already. It's a great methodology to follow, and something that I've seen just continual success when it comes to product launches and product releases, right? I haven't experienced any failed launches yet with it, so that's a good sign. Awesome. So that's product. That is jobs to be done, jump starting. And I have two more, and I'm going to make this really, really fast, just because I feel like these are, in a way, important as well. The other area of product management, and sort of as far as like phases, is leaving an impact, right? And this comes down to, how do you manage your stakeholders, developing good strategy. I always say that, it's super, super important to be aligned with the company's mission and strategy and all of that. And I've done this by doing and having a measurement plan, right? So a measurement plan, in a way, is like your guiding light, right? It's what you're using to really drive all product decisions. So at the end of the day, there's a company that has objectives, and you're essentially, creating features or things so that way they can meet those objectives, those goals. And how do you keep track of them? Well, you keep track of them with your, KPIs, right? So this is something that I've used over and over, and it's just a great way to keep track of, what are the goals, what are the targets, what are the KPIs, and what are the targets, right? Another template you can use for measurement. And then finally, owning your path. And this is something for anyone who is looking eventually, they've done in their self-discovery, and they realize that, hey, I actually want to be a founder, right? Like, I want to own my own path. I want to determine my destiny. I want to, impact millions and millions of people or whatever, right? I truly believe that, product managers who have that level of experience from like working in a product management organization or working with others, are in a way have a leg up on entrepreneurship, right? And that's because they've been able to understand all these different areas, right? They understand what it's like to identify the business development. They understand, sales and marketing, and because they're working with all of these people all the time, right? And so, but I know that, getting started can be a little bit difficult at first because you don't know the terrain well. And for myself, I can only speak to what I've done so far. And I can say that, it's when you have that product management background, this almost like you've had this intuition of how you make decisions. And I've made really good decisions so far, but I've also surrounded myself with other entrepreneurs. And that's what it comes down to, right? Is giving yourself that opportunity to surround yourself with people, and also knowing that you're trying to serve people, right? And when you're coming at it from a place of service, when you're trying to actually just help other people, and you don't worry so much about the money or anything, you worry about just serving, everything else becomes, happiness and all that is a byproduct of that, right? So, if that is you, if you are looking to be a founder one day too, you're making the right move and trying to get into product management and kind of learning and building yourself up. And I've seen a lot of people who don't go into product management, they go straight into being a founder, and that's totally cool too. I'm sure, a lot of people have done that. I know that for myself, I've just established a lot more confidence in actually being able to do it myself. So that's what I wanted to share. I'm going to stop sharing, and hopefully that was meaningful, impactful, valuable. Hopefully you guys are still there. I didn't really have the opportunity for you guys to chime in, but I do want to ask that if you have any questions about what I shared, feel free to share. I'm looking right now. I love that the presentation. I have another meeting. Okay, that's fine. I'll send you the recording. Cool. Any questions about what I walked you through? I mean, we can go into some of the Q&A. Hopefully some of the questions that you guys had asked, I had already covered. I'm going to look at some of them right now, so that way I know. But anything in particular about what I shared, feel free. I'm here as a resource. Did you guys find that valuable? Let's start there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, good.
I have a question if that's okay.
Let's go.
So great information. Thank you. When you talk a lot about storytelling.
Yes.
And it sounds like that's super important, particularly for those of us that are trying to break in and get that first PM role. Can you talk a little bit like what makes a PM or what makes a story compelling? Like what are the different parts? Because like we all have our stories, but they're very different ways of presenting it. So I'm wondering like if I put myself in your shoes or somebody who is on the other side of the table, what are they really looking for?
Yeah, great question. I believe that a great story, it captivates the emotion, right? Emotion is what, think about Disney, right? Probably the best storytellers out there, right? And when you can tap into someone's emotion and you can almost like feel what a person is feeling or saying, that's when you've captivated them, you've got them, right? And people do this all the time when they speak, right? You listen to them and you're like, wow, how am I so involved with you right now? And it's because of a couple of things, right? I mean, just elements of the way that you speak, right? Your enthusiasm, the way that you're able to move people, right? You talk really low and then talk really high, and then the pause, right? Those little elements, the element of suspense, right? You kind of like lead them into something, like you're saying maybe, the next thing I'm going to share with you is going to, knock your socks off or something like that. That was a really bad example, but that element of like, oh, well, what is it? Right? You're basically evoking this suspense that you wouldn't have had if you would have said, let me just, here it is, right? It does come with like, I always say like, watch a couple Disney movies, like, but watch it from the point of view of a critic, like, kind of like realize like, why am I feeling this way? And kind of see like, what is it that's going on, right? They're doing this. They're making me feel this way. And the more you can kind of understand and realize that, the more you will start to bring it into your conversations. right? The more that you'll share that way. I mean, you know, I am definitely one to say that I love, you know, just watching Steve Jobs videos and launch videos. And that's one of the things that he did really well, is that he captivated people, but he also, you know, he also made things simple. And being able to communicate simple in a simple way is also another part of storytelling, and that really resonates with people. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Storytelling is going to be very key, because when you think about it, right, you as a product manager, your responsibility is to get everyone so excited about this vision. It's to get everyone to know what the problem is and to feel that problem, right? If you're not able to effectively, you know, tell it a good story or show people things, right? I mean, so many times I'll go in a meeting and people are just talk, and I'm like, nothing's getting done, right? Why is nothing getting done? It's because they don't see something. And so you as a product manager, I always try to say, I always try to recommend or advise aspiring product managers or even existing ones, show something, like even if it's a screenshot or something where people can all now come together and see that thing. And that is another element of just storytelling. How can you show that thing that you're talking about?
Rick, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask you what your opinion is on trying to kind of pick up on what product managers in my own company is doing, and how I can sort of like kind of not juggle, but like with a full-time job, how do you kind of get the most out of your job, not just doing your role, but also kind of trying to learn from the product managers in your own company?
Yeah.
Any advice on that?
So you know a couple of product managers already. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. You know, this is actually a good thing, right? What you can do, and I think what I've ended up doing a little bit at J&J was just asking them, like, what are some of your low-hanging fruit area? Like, because they have some top, like everyone has priorities, right?
Yeah.
And they're always trying to work on like these top priority things. And they don't have time for these low-hanging fruit things that they know that they should get done, but they just can't, right? They just have time or whatever. Ask them, like, just if you've established a good relationship with them, maybe first do that though. First, if you haven't established a good relationship, get to the person, get to the level where you can actually feel trust and confidence that way. And then, you know, offer and say, hey, I'd love to be able to help you guys out a little bit, even if it's something small, right? And that will at least show that you're interested, but also not give you this massive task that, you know, that they're probably not going to let you have anyways, right? Or even just doing, like I said, the product audit, right? Like, you do it out of your own, you know, kindness of your heart. You're trying to, like, if there's already existing product, run it through a couple of these little these tools that I'll share with you. You know, check if there's any broken links. Check, you know, what the page speed is. Check all of these little things, because ultimately all of these things are, if they're not working, they're hurting the product, right? They're hurting the users. They're not making this great experience. So if you find them and you can bring them to them and you can say, hey, here's, you know, how here are all the little problem areas, but oh, by the way, I found ways to solve it, right? I connected with these people. Would you like me to take care of it? Right? It's like, well, yeah, of course, please.
Yeah,
bring it home. You know.
Cool. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Just a quick question. So your first job was at Johnson & Johnson or something, right? As a PM.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, as far as I understand, Johnson & Johnson is a manufacturing company. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you made a transition to a tech company, which is Disney, right?
Yes.
So can you just talk to us about that a little bit? I'm just curious because you know, it's a completely different domain. So how did you make that impact?
Yeah. So I will share that when I was at J&J, here, let me share my screen again, because this will help explain how I did it. So when I was at J&J, there were a few, so I was in IT, right? But there were a few teams in J&J that were building apps and all these things, right? And I essentially established all of these, I worked on these projects, right? I was working on J&J recruitment for Carnegie Mellon. I was working on TEDx J&J. So I established all these these little projects. And this is what actually, I didn't go from, and if this is probably where I needed to correct myself. I didn't go from J&J directly to Disney. I went from J&J to Lightmaker, which is a digital agency, right? So, I worked with the Creative Lab, which in J&J, Johnson & Johnson, there's a little like digital agency internally that's where I fell in love with product management. That's where I saw people were building products for the consumer brands, right? So like if you would go to, I think, bandaid.com, let's say, or not Bandaid. Yeah, I guess bandaid.com. Like that digital agency internally was the team that built it. And I loved that they were doing that. So I wanted to work in a digital agency. I wanted to be in an environment where I was building all of these products and things like that. And so I made that jump, but I made that jump because I was able to work on these little projects with those teams, right? And then when it came to looking for product manager opportunities, that's when I found Lightmaker, right? And that's where I found that opportunity to be able to build products for not just for one company, but for many different companies, right? That's where in 1 year, I was able to launch 10 different products, right? 10 unique different products. So it was a massive, and a great experience for me because I was able to learn so incredibly fast, right? And then being here is where I got the transition into Disney, right? But I did it, again, it came down to, it didn't really matter my industry background, to be honest. It mattered what my passion was, what my purpose was. And so when I talked to the Disney folks, right, I told them like entertainment has always been a part of my life, right? I've been going to the parks ever since I was 8 years old or something like that. And I connected with the fact that I said that when I was at college, I think I wrote my paper, one of my thesis papers was on Walt Disney as a charismatic leader, right? So I brought these elements from my past into the interview, into the conversation. And that's what people care about. People want to know, they don't, yes, where you worked is nice because you bring experience, but if you're passionate about something and you haven't worked there already, you will learn faster than anyone else, right? Because you're bringing that passion, you're hungry for it. And that's what people want to see. If you can bring that passion to the conversation, people will know, oh, he's going to learn it. It's going to be fine. Passion's hard. If you don't have passion for something, then it's hard to get you in. Cool. Awesome. So I didn't lose too many of you guys. That's still good. So I know we have about 15 minutes left. I do want to just, share one last thing with you guys. Again, I'm here. I'm going to be here till the 15 or till 9:30. So if you have any other questions, just feel free to ask. I will share the resources. I will share the links and this recording, but I do want to just mention right now while we're kind of waiting that, as part of this mentorship, and I want to keep these kind of conversations going, because this is just one, obviously one style that I've done where I share a presentation of some kind and, kind of review it and we ask questions again and I answer questions. But the other format that I truly love is being able to just kind of give you, let's say, you sharing me a little bit more about where you want to go, right? So let's say, Bernardo, you're like, what, I've done my self-assessment and my values, and I know that I love, Tesla, right? And Tesla is where I would love to, I'd love to be a product manager on Tesla, right? Maybe it's their apps or whatever, the website, something, because they align with your values. And I'm like, perfect, right? Now, it's great that you know that, right? Or maybe you pick 3. And then after that, I work with you to say, how do we craft your story, Like, what is your story that we can share with people, right? Or how do we craft your resume to be a little bit more tailored, right? Or how do we give you practice on actually looking at the products and assessing, you know, doing a product audit, or doing, like, imagining yourself as a product manager there and identifying who the users are, what the market size is, you know, what are the problems, what are all these things. That's the stuff that I love to do, especially with people who want to learn and grow, because that is what I think a lot of us sometimes need to really get that experience under our belt. And so I am offering, you know, as part of this, as a continuation of this, an actual mentorship program. And I did mention that I have some people in that already. And I'm going to share my screen, you know, just so that way you guys can see. I primarily did this because I wanted to invest a little bit more time, my own time, into something versus just, you know, and having something potentially come out of it. So before I do that, I did some market research because I was really curious to see, like, what other mentorship programs were out there, or like subscriptions out there, and there are a few, right? I'm not sure if you've seen these, but you know, this one is Plato, which they offer mentorship. You know, it's a per month type of thing, and you can get a mentor on Plato for, like, I don't know, I think it's $250 or something, and you have it for, Plato, or a mentor for product management, and you know, you can do that with them, right? Another one is Mentor Cruise, which again, I think they offer it for $250, or no, $130, I think it is. Another really great experience where they help you, and if you haven't heard about these, you know, I recommend you guys check them out, you know, if you're interested. For me, I'm trying to bring a lot of these things. I realize that my purpose that I want to offer to more people is my coaching ability, my mentorship ability, and just my ability to, like, help and shape, right? So I do offer coaching, and it's something that, you know, I have one client right now. I'm working with him. I have a lot of just one-on-one opportunities where I'm just like, it's just me and him, right? No one else. I do offer that. I do offer the weekly calls, and it's kind of like I have a group of people I have right now, 15 in the group. And for anyone who wants to join or wants to continue these conversations, I know I says here $130 a month, but I'm going to offer it for a little bit less, just because I know you guys are, you know, relatively new, and also because I'm just trying this out for the first time, and I want to still use it as a way to experiment and also to learn and grow with you guys. So if you're interested, I'm going to send this link. You guys can take a look at it. And this type of interaction, again, I love being able to just interact with you guys, offer a little bit more. And in the program that I'm trying to get more people to take advantage of is really focused on getting you access to a little group of people in Slack. You can see here's the Slack group I have right now. So here are the folks that are in there. You know, we have a couple sessions already, and you can kind of see here, you know, this was yesterday's session. Ebenezer, he's from Nigeria. He was really engaged. He was really having fun. You know, kind of like learning together. I'm also building this out, and I'm at the same time shaping their product manager, you know, journey. And it's really, really exciting. I absolutely love it. I look forward to the weekends so that I can do this. So that's the Slack group. I also have a shared folder. So a lot of the documents I actually all put in a shared drive where you can, and you'll have access to a ton of stuff. I mean, you can see here a couple of my other folders, but everything that I have, resources, templates, are going to be in here. So all of the personal templates are in here, as well as just more. I'm constantly creating new things. You saw the Trello board. It's one of the things that I personally love Trello. Absolutely love it. It is like, you know, my go-to tool. I use it for my productivity. Here's my to-do. I have to do a lot of these things. And it's always good to have something that keeps you on track, right? So that's that's something else. And then I also offer, as part of this, all the past recordings, and then the opportunities to exercise the PM skills. And this is the piece where I'm really, really excited about, because when I was starting off, I knew that it was like, how do I get myself more experience? And, you know, no one's going to give me a shot. And so it's hard to go out and find it. But if you have someone like myself, or someone who, you know, has a reputation already, opportunities come. Like I have a whole list of people who want my help on things, and I don't have enough time. And so my goal is to try to, you know, essentially, you know, mentor people, fill those roles, those positions, not necessarily like, you know, a job, let's say, but it's like a way for you to, you know, practice and kind of grow on with actual startups and small businesses, right? So yeah, so that's really it. I mean, again, I'm not pressuring you to do it. I'm just letting you know that it's there. And instead of $130 per month, I'm going to offer it for everyone here for $89 per month. So that way you guys can get a chance to try it out. And actually, if you don't like it for 30 days, after 30 days, you can actually, you know, cancel and you get a full refund. You know, again, it's just my way of trying to put all of this energy that I have towards helping in a more focused and concentrated way. So that way I just keep putting more into it, right? At the end of the day, I just want to keep helping more people. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to let you guys ask any more questions. Cause like, you know, like I said, I'm going to be here. I want to answer your questions. And yeah, let's see if I answered some of these from your conversation. So how to progress in your PM. Let me see. Are you guys still there? Yeah, I'm getting a little worried. I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, still here.
Still here, yeah.
Awesome. You know, I want to hear actually just feedback. I mean, based off of what you heard, as far as the some of the stuff that I shared, is there anything in particular that you want or you plan on trying to use? You know, I think Bernard, are you going to try to use some of the storytelling?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of the I love finding new resources, so I wrote a lot of the stuff down, so I'll try to use quite a few of them.
Yeah.
In particular, yes, storytelling, but some of the other, especially some of the personal assessments as well.
Yes. Yes. So cool. Awesome. Anyone else? Like, what is there? I'm just, again, curious to hear, like, is there anything that you're going to try to use, you found valuable, you know, something that, you know, I can use to improve? Because like at the end of the day, you know, I'm just trying to offer the best value. And if there's something that you heard already and you're like, you know what, Rich, come on, give me something else. Like, that's good. That's good feedback. I want to know.
Just my personal feedback, really. I think I'm probably going to pick up the product audit because,
Yeah.
as I mentioned, I'm a quality engineer already, so I'm already doing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But not from a product manager point of view.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably something that I'm keen to do, looking at it from a different angle. I do have a question though, and
Sure.
I guess this is more about when you're actually in the product management role. How do you take ideas from different people in the business, because you have stakeholders, and then how do you then pick them to kind of go and test and choose an idea, because eventually somebody's got to pick an idea to go and run with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you have a good team of people who believe in testing, right, then having a hypothesis backlog is what I like to call it, a good thing to have, right? And establishing that practice of always testing. So, you know, there are plenty of tools out there that offer the A/B testing capability. I mean, you know, we've used Google Optimize, we use Optimizely. Those are the two ones, the main ones. I know when I was at Disney, there was an Adobe product. I've tested something, I forget what it's called now. But ultimately, you know, those are just the tools that allow you to do it. But having a backlog of things you want to test, right, hypotheses is probably the first step, right? And I always like to back up a hypothesis with some sort of data, right? Some sort of insight. Maybe you know that, you know, red is a higher converting color. So you know that because you read some article or some insight about that. Okay, let's test it. Let's put in our backlog hypothesis. But I think at the end of the day, it comes down to what is it going to do? What is it going to drive, right? What is the purpose of the test, right? And that goes back to the goals of the product, the KPIs that you're going to use to measure. And if you have the belief that it can increase conversion by a certain amount, so like revenue conversion, then that's probably going to be something you prioritize higher than maybe something that you believe is smaller conversion.
Right. So you'd go from the goal of the business, and then I guess there's like overarching goals, and then it kind of filters down to different teams, and then you work with that.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, there's a prioritization framework that we use. It's called RICE. Have you heard of that? It's a framework. Let me see if I can share my screen real quick, and I'll show you. It's I think it's actually in here as well. I didn't mention it. RICE, prioritization. So it's a way to look at things and prioritize based on the reach, the impact. Is it the reach, the impact, the confidence that you can get it done, like the actual like development effort, like it's, you know, yeah, and then the effort. No, that's the effort. Sorry, the confidence is how confident it will actually achieve that desired outcome. And the effort is how much of an effort it is. Because like, let's say you're testing something, but it's going to take like a year to build. It's like, well, I don't know if we want to prioritize that over something else, right? But this is a really nice prioritization framework that you use, and it's a calculation score. You can actually calculate scores by that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I haven't seen this before, but yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Awesome. Anyone else? Let's see. I'm gonna call on people now. I can do this. Hugo, what do you think, Hugo? You still there? Ah, he left me. It's all good. I see Mansell there though. How you doing, man?
Doing all right, man. Really enjoyed the presentation. Pretty good. I like the fact about I like the thing about the storytelling, and also to find your purpose, to understand your weaknesses and things. I really like that.
Yeah.
And right now I'm in transitioning between jobs, and so I thought, okay, that's actually a good resource to take a look at and understand where I want to be, and definitely going to take a look at that.
Yeah, man.
And
good.
And I also had a question for you. A lot of times in interviews, interviewers tend to give case studies, like take-home case studies, which they expect you to do in like a week or two. Do you have any resources, or like, do you have any like tips on how to do that?
How to handle case studies?
Yeah.
Usually, I mean, a case study is just an exercise to see how well you can do the job, right? By putting yourself in their shoes. So ideally, if you've done some of this already with, like I said, the practice ahead of time, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But I mean, there's always places that I go to for data, right? I think always getting started is a tough thing. It's like, okay, well, where do I have the data to prove things that I want to do, right? So let me share something as well that I think you'll find pretty interesting. Whenever it comes to data, I always refer to my Insights library with Think with Google. Have you heard of Think with Google?
No.
Insights library, it is literally where I go to just kind of understand or get an idea of, either, obviously Google has a ton of data already, and they've aggregated it to, a small bytes size information. So let's say you're trying to come up with an idea or something, and you want to use data to back it up, right? Everyone always wants to do something, but you have to have some data that proves why you want to do something over something else. So the Insights library, I think you can actually do a search for, like, let's say, I don't know, if you were looking up for like and maybe it's a mobile app, I don't know, that you're working with, or a case study, but there's specific, articles and data points that you can refer to that are, again, you can use this as data that helps in your case study, right?
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. Data points, and then you can also look at other websites and I'm sorry, other case studies, because a case study is just, again, giving you a situation and trying to figure out how you would handle it. But I mean, other people have done this stuff already, right? I always say, like, you don't have to recreate the wheel. You got to just be able to know, observe and understand who's done it already. What can you learn from them, and learn from them, right? Learn from others.
Yeah.
And that's what you bring in, right? So because we have access to all this now, might as well use it.
True.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for that.
No worries. Yeah, I'm telling you, like, I love being able to, a lot of these are just like my go-to sources, but I also have a huge list of resources that I pocket. Do you guys know what Pocket is? It's that, like, one app that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use it quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh my God, I tag like everything. I have tags for products. I have tags for startup stuff, data. And so, like, I actually have this whole list. I can share with you guys as a spreadsheet list. I was able to scrape all this and put in a spreadsheet, so you guys can take a look at what my resources are. Sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, right? But if you guys want that too, again, I have a ton. And then the other thing that I like to share is, I didn't really share it before, but as part of, like, just getting familiar with products, if you're not going to product hunt yet, I do recommend you do this. It's part of my kind of now daily routine in a way, where I go to product hunt, and it's a great way to just, see what other products are out there, and kind of assess, like, why are people loving the product so much, right? Because everyone here, these products are hunted, and they're essentially upvoted on a daily basis. And I actually like to use it as a way to just learn what other new products are out there, but also as a way to just ask myself, like, what is the problem they're trying to solve here, right? Is this a actual tangible market that I would, go after as well, right? Like, again, imagining yourself as a product manager already, and having these questions is a great way to build up that expertise, and looking at more products, right? It's like a design or an artist, right? What's the best way to be an artist? Just keep drawing, keep appreciating art. What's the best way to be a product manager? Just keep looking at products, appreciate products, right? And so Product Hunt for me is like my go-to for that. Just all of these different products, and then they're essentially upvoted by people. So I'm gonna end with that. I know it's 9:33. I do appreciate you guys joining. Hopefully, again, you found something valuable from this, and we'll continue the conversation going forward. And yeah, just let me know if you have any other things. I'm still on LinkedIn. I'm not going to disappear. So you guys feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you so much, Rich. That's
Thank you,
really
Rich.
helpful.
Thank
All
you
right.
for the session.
Thank you for your
Very
time.
much.
Thank you very much, Rich.
Thanks, guys. Peace out.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah.